Еще раз здравствуйте, наши веб-зрители. Сегодня мы продолжаем говорить о Кипре, и сегодня разговор у нас будет более широкий. Будем говорить о Кипре в контексте более широком экономическом, о том, как себя чувствует Кипр и банковский сектор после Кипрского кризиса. То есть уже прошло с апреля полгода, и уже имеет смысл делать какие-то выводы. Сегодня нашим собеседником является руководитель International Business Unit, Никосия Business Unit, Банка ПРС, Михаил. So once again, hello, and I already introduced the topic that now we are talking about more flexible things and more wider about the situation in Cyprus in general. So quite significant time already passed after the crisis. If we say the finish of the Cyprus is the last days of March. So after that, almost already half a year passed, and we may do some conclusions. We may have seen some evidence of how Cyprus feels now. So what is your opinion, first, not as a banker, but as a citizen, how you feel now? Do you see the decrease of the just normal business, or unemployment is getting higher, or what you may say about this?
Well, the fact is that the 15th of March events was a shock for people, as it was for non-Cypriots.
Exactly, not less for Russians, though at least those who had the funds in Cyprus banks. Yeah.
Now, it is very understandable that for the first 2 months following those events, everybody was in a kind of uncertainty and shock of what would be the future. As time goes by and issues that were with a big question mark are now finding their way to be resolved, I believe that things are bound to progress in a very positive way. What we have now, substantial proof of this, is Troika closely monitoring the Cyprus economy and reviewing its progress on a regular basis in order to allow for the tranches of the loan that was approved to assist Cyprus. Troika was if I'm not mistaken, last week in Cyprus for the review, and what we've heard from the news is that Cyprus economy is progressing as planned, as originally agreed. So the tranche was approved, and we are expecting a new review in January. In that respect, we can only be optimistic for the future. If I can speak from my professional point of view, I mean for international banking in Cyprus, we have noticed that customers were also intimidated and shocked at the beginning, and many tried to take their deposits outside Cyprus. Cypriots and non-Cypriots. Now, we have the situation that customers in the banks who feel or who didn't find the level of professionalism or ease of account opening or execution of transactions abroad, they slowly start to test the system and gradually, slowly by slowly, building back the business that they used to transact through Cyprus. This, of course, will take time. The wounds are open, especially for customers who lost money from the bail-in. It will take time, but I hope for the best, and I'm optimistic that Cyprus will find its way back to stable financial situation.
I see. Well, the customers of Piraeus, fortunately, does not were caused by this crisis because their funds were not cut.
Yes, they were not cut.
But at least there were some limitations. Yes, limitations for stopping, preventing the outflow of the capital.
Yes.
What are these limitations and how they work now, for example?
Well, the restrictions were imposed following the 15th of March haircut of deposits in the two major banks in Cyprus, Bank of Cyprus and Laiki. And gradually the restrictions have to do with transferring of funds both outside Cyprus and both internally. I would like to point out that restrictions does not mean that all banks have financial problems. We all know that the two major banks, one closed and the other is finding its way out of this crisis. There are many other banks that, like ourselves, Piraeus Bank Cyprus, that are financially very healthy and very strong even 6 months after the crisis. Now, restrictions affect the transfer of funds out, and currently they affect also the opening of accounts. Now, new funds coming in from abroad after 15th of March, they fall into no restrictions and customers work like they worked before 15th of March. Now, old funds, there are some restrictions.
Which are they?
Well, mainly for transactions below 1 million euro equivalent, the banks can assess whether the transaction falls into the normal business activity of a customer and can allow a transfer out upon receipt of supporting documentation.
I see.
For larger amounts, we have to apply to the central bank for approval.
I see.
And I want to specify again that this is for funds for balances which were before 15th of March.
Yeah, I understand. Well, so the limitation is 1 million per one transfer. That's quite big.
No, it's not a limitation. That's the limitation whether the banks may apply to central bank, or they can assess themselves that the funds are within the normal activities.
I see. Well, before that, if I'm not mistaken, the level of this limitation was much less.
Yes, much less, and they are gradually, we've had some so far over, if I'm not mistaken, 15 decrees, changed restriction measures 15 times, and every time something is relaxed.
I see. Yeah, this is the same what we felt. It was first 200,000, then more, and now it is 1 million. Exactly. I see. I understand that in order to have the permission from central bank for this one-time transfer, it is needed to submit some special documents. And what is your experience? How efficient is central bank in replying? What is the percentage of the requests are satisfied?
Well, it's not a matter of percentage of requests being satisfied.
According to your experience.
It's a matter of each case being documented properly and being able for central bank to accept that this is yes within the business activities. I have to tell you that after 6 months, not many cases are being referred to central bank, mainly because we are working, I'm talking about Bank, of course, we are working with new funds which are used by customers. So old funds, so far, it's a very small percentage that is being traded on a daily basis.
So now you are working mainly with the new funds, that is why it is...
Yes. After 6 months, it's normal for customers to exhaust their old funds and start working with new funds.
I see. So more or less this problem is solved and solved few months before.
Yes, in most situations.
Okay. Now have a talk a little wider, but it is the question connected just to normal economy, but a little bit connected to the banking sector. What I heard from my colleagues in Cyprus, from other bankers, that it is the slowdown of the business. There are less cafes on the street. Some shops are closing because of the lack of the liquidity. How you comment this? First of all, do you feel the same as a person?
Well, as an average citizen walking in the streets, you can feel in an extent that mainly businesses suffer. So you can see the decrease of the mobility of the economic prosperity. Now, for me, it's I would expect that soon measures must be taken to what's the word?
Say it in Greek.
To increase the economic activity.
You mean measured by the government?
Measured by the government, by everyone. It's not only the government, there are so many other organizations that can assist. We all have to assist.
And how we may assist, for example, if this is a question of liquidity, lack of the liquidity. I understand we may work with the bank, send cash to the bank, so it has more liquidity, but of course it is not in my possession such amount, and so on. So,
well, talking for my bank, we have no liquidity issues. We do not reject loan facility applications because we don't have liquidity.
Even so.
Now, what we have to take into consideration is the prospects, and of course, as a bank, to make sure that the facilities we give will be repaid in a normal way, to avoid any unpleasant situations. So, in a distressed, in a difficult financial times, it's very logical that banks apply stricter criteria as regards lending.
I see. And how Cyprus feels now from the employment position? Well, as far as the banking sector was quite serious for Cyprus economy, and when the request for these services after the crisis were limited, and then it was the necessity for the banks to fire the personnel? How you feel regarding, well, what I heard from your colleagues from Press Bank, that you even hire additional personnel.
Yes. I'll be honest with you. Piraeus Bank has gained from the crisis because of its stable financial situation and very healthy balance sheet. This is, of course, growth in business we would never want to have, but it's true that we never had to fire or let people go. And most banks, the banks that had to let go, that offered voluntary retirement schemes, was Bank of Cyprus. As far as I know, a number of people left, so I'm sure they will find their way.
I see. Okay, so I think our web, those who see us in the internet, had received some guideline outlook on what is Cyprus now after the crisis, and may make their decision themselves. So thank you very much for taking part in our webinar. As soon as you have the other news and you are in Moscow, you are invited to take part once again. How often you are in Moscow?
Well, I've been coming to Moscow on average 1 or 2 a year.
I see.
But a representative from Piraeus in Cyprus visits Piraeus every 1 or 2 months. Here. Plus, of course, our representative office that we operate here.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, this information for clients, but you are also welcome here. Okay, thank you. Спасибо большое. На этом мы прощаемся. До следующего раза, который будет завтра. Спасибо.